Hi, everyone. How are you? Hello, hello. I am Aimee of AimeeRaupp.com and get to come to you live a couple times a month to share some, fun things about fertility and health and vitality and egg quality and hormones. And today we're going to talk about doing the egg quality diet, which is my latest book right up here, on a budget. Because I don't know about you, but I just spent almost $300 at Trader Joe's yesterday food shopping for a family of 3. And I was flabbergasted at how damn expensive. Normally, my grocery bill at Trader Joe's is about $200. So it was almost 30. Well, what is that? Yeah, 30% higher, 40% higher. Love this topic. Well, thank you, Hatch to Harvest. I'm excited too. I have a list of, so just so you know, these are all from students in my Yes You Can Get Pregnant e-course who have done the egg quality diet, who are living the life, and they gave me their feedback of how to do it on a budget. I always do try to budget, but I have a little bit of a mentality that like, I don't know, that probably started years ago, that like, that's where I spend my money is my food, which I don't think is always the best. And I'm not bragging about it. I'm just more like, sometimes I'm just like, the product is more important to me than the price, but not always. Food is expensive, and I'm trying to get my laptop to turn on. So I wanted to pull up the Dirty Dozen list for you. But either way, something's going on with my laptop, which is stressing me out a little bit. Anyway, we're going to ignore that right now. And I'm not going to think about it because I'm with you guys. So either way, I wanted to pull up the Dirty Dozen list, but you guys can all do that on your own. Or someone can pull it up for me and post it. Oh, I have my Kindle. I can actually pull it up on my Kindle. So first things first, how many of you guys have tried the egg quality diet? How many of you guys are thinking about trying the egg quality diet, but it's overwhelming you? I would love to hear any feedback right now about that. Have you done it? Are you overwhelmed by it? Is price part of the overwhelm? Because that helps me kind of direct the information today. So if anybody wants to chime in and share their experience, I'd love to hear that. Oh, a little fire. I got a little fire. Do you like my dress? Is it my dress or is it the question? Amazing results in the egg quality diet. Well, that's exciting. Thank you so much. I love to hear that. What kind of results? Do you want to share your results? Casey Wino, is that you? Casey Wino 74. Can you do egg quality diet if already pregnant? I would not recommend it. Listen, it's totally balanced for pregnancy. I would do more carbs in the pregnancy. So it's macronutrient balance to be about 40% fat, 25, is that right? 30% protein, and then the rest carbs. And typically in pregnancy, I think you need a little more carbs than that. So you need more like 35 carbs. So you kind of balance in there. But I also think protein's super important in pregnancy. I always aim for over 80 grams of protein a day in pregnancy. And so, okay, let's see. I've tried it, but it's very expensive to get all the ingredients per week. Okay, thank you for that feedback. And that's why you're here, and I hope I can help. Starting Monday, I've done an elimination diet before. It's overwhelming at first. It's completely overwhelming. Listen, I wrote the book. I'm currently doing the Reboot with all of my students. I have 170 so students in the Reboot this round. It's fucking overwhelming for me. Like this morning, I was like, right, I can't have my paleo bread that I like. Okay. But it is what it is, right? Like, I don't mean it to downplay it. Like, it just is what it's something I'm choosing to do. So I have to personally deal with that emotional piece. But it is overwhelming. I think so. General tips to reduce overwhelm is planning and preparing. I cannot say that enough. That's why that egg quality diet resources page that comes with the book, which I never share that link publicly because I worked my ass off and my team worked their ass off, and we put on thousands of dollars of resources on that page. And so the least you could do is buy the book and then get the resources page. So that's why when people are like, can I have the link? No, buy the book. The link is in the book. And I don't do that to be a biatch. I do that because I I'm worthy of you purchasing the book to get the resources, right? That's my fair share in the game. But in that resources page, on that resources page, we give you the egg quality diet hack sheet. We give you the shopping lists. We give you recipes. We give you liver support soup hack sheet, right? So many resources are created for you to make it simpler. But I think the number one thing for the overwhelm, and like even myself, I went food shopping yesterday because phase 1 of the egg quality diet is fairly easy for me because I live in that. I kind of live in like a phase 4 where I know what works for my body and what doesn't. So most of the stuff I don't eat. Like I don't eat a lot of nightshades. I don't eat beans at all. They don't work for my tummy. I eat very few nuts because same thing, they just don't work for my body. And I don't eat I don't eat gluten, and I eat dairy sometimes, but so anyway, for me, not that hard. But either way, I did my food shop yesterday, really trying to plan and prep for when we head into phase 2, which in my opinion, as the author of the book and as the woman who's been using the egg quality diet in my clinical practice for a decade, that's phase 2 is the hardest in my humble opinion. It's the hardest. And so same thing, I stocked up on my broth. I bought some chickens to make my own broth. I'm just pulling up here. I want to pull up the Dirty Dozen list so we can talk about that. So that's how I start to do it, is I'll print out the meal plans for each week and then plan my meals. Like some of our favorite meals are things like the shepherd's pie, and things of that nature, which we're really going to get into in phase 3, if you will. But there's some great, like, let me get the book out. I just don't want to knock things over. Why does that feel like it's going to fall? So phase 2, we're in phase 1 right now, but like some things, I still love in phase 2, my coconut milk yogurt, right? So I'm buying that Coco June. But there's also, you can also make your own yogurt. I have the recipe in there, which would really save you some money. The Yokocado. I bought all my avocados yesterday from Trader Joe's. You don't need to buy organic avocados. So I buy the regular conventional avocados, which are a major price savings. Liver support soup. I get all of my ingredients. I make that myself. I typically make a handful of batches of bone broth. I get whole chickens delivered to me from Butcher Box, which I've done the price comparison. It's actually much more cost conscious. And I know that's only available in the US. So for those of you outside the US, then you kind of are left to your own of finding where you can get, but typically buying the whole chicken is actually less expensive than buying chicken in the parts. And so I get the whole chickens delivered to me from Butcher Box. And again, I've done the price comparison. It is almost like $1 per pound cheaper than Whole Foods, which I am anal about animal protein and the that it's pastured or wild caught, that it's organic, grass fed, those types of things. And I think we should all be really really conscious about that. I'll get my chicken feet delivered from, oh my God, it's on my website and I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but it's from, you guys know, US Wellness Meats. I'll also get liver organ meat delivered to me from US Wellness Meats, and I make my own liver pate. So those are ways that I really save. And so I have stocked up on broth, and then I'll make my liver support soup, and I'll make that in batches. And that is another way. So this year, what I decided to do with my garden, and what a lot of my girls said on here too, is like the number one general tips and tricks. I'm reading from this sheet that we got from all my students. Growing a small garden with herbs. So I have cilantro, I have parsley. I also grew dandelion greens this year. I'm also growing spinach and kale. And so I also get organic spinach by the bag from Trader Joe's, and it's very inexpensive in comparison to Whole Foods for certain. So so I have all the ingredients for liver support soup. And what I'll do too, because parsley and cilantro, you don't need, I like to add a bunch to my liver support soup just because I like the flavor, but you can freeze what you don't use. And so another really good tip and trick that a lot of the women say is, buy frozen vegetables, organic frozen vegetables. Where is it? Pick your battle. Wait, eat seasonally, make your own broth, opt for Yeah, stock up on organic frozen fruits and vegetables whenever you see them on sale. And so organic frozen is still a really good option. And in places like Whole Foods or even Trader Joe's, again, I'm speaking mainly to Americans right here, and I understand that, and I apologize, but that's just what my norm is. But you guys, I'm sure, have something similar where you live. Or going to a local farmer's market, or starting your own small herb garden. Like I got one of those beds, on Amazon. It's, I don't know, 3x2 or something like that. And so I have tomatoes growing in there, which are not on the egg quality diet until we reintroduce nightshades. But I just like to grow tomatoes because they're so pretty. I have spinach, I have kale, I have parsley, I have cilantro, I have dandelion greens, I have lettuces and arugula. Those are all the things I'm growing. And honestly, I'm growing them from seed. Great, easy. But you could also go to a local garden center and get those organic already started. And it is so much cheaper. And what's nice is when you trim it down, then it grows back faster. So obviously it depends on the time of year where you are. Right now, for us, it's like perfect time to be growing when you're here in the Northeast. But if not, if you can't do the herb garden, then think about organic frozen vegetables, which I think is really good. Then I always think about, someone else said, buy kale in bulk. It freezes very well without prep. You can just take the leaves right from the freezer and toss them in the pan. I think that's a brilliant idea. Freeze leftovers in plastic-free containers. I do that too. I just stocked up, on Amazon, but also there was a Bed Bath & Beyond that was going out of business near us, and I stocked up on the glass food containers, and I love those. That's all I use. And so I'll make the liver support soup. I also have like the mason jars, the big ones. Same thing. I found some at the local Goodwill store where there was just like a whole container. It was like $1, and I got these huge ones because I use them for Aimee Raupp Beauty as well. When I make in bulk, everything gets stored in glass jars until we bottle it. And so I have dozens of those 24-ounce mason jars with the lids. And so I'll make the liver support soup. I make my bone broth, and I freeze it all in that too, so that I'm prepared, because preparation is so important. And then the plastic-free containers, I mean, like I said, you can find them cheap. You don't have to go and spend lots of money on these plastic-free containers. So bulk cook and prep and store things in freezers so that you always have egg quality diet friendly meals handy. That is so critical to me. I also really live by the on the go snack list because I'm kind of like a snacky person, and I need that. In phase 2, obviously we're not really snacky as much. We're kind of snacking. Another thing I'll do, so I make in bulk my butternut squash soup. I make in bulk bone broth, like I said. I always have the phase 2 smoothie. And I always have bone broth. The Cocoa June is the yogurt I'm using right now. And like right now, I had to get that from Whole Foods because Trader Joe's doesn't have it, but they were on sale. So I just stocked up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze the ones that aren't going to last me this week. So just to kind of think of things ahead of time. So don't buy pre-prepared produce. Prepare all produce yourself. I think that is such a game changer for saving money. And like someone else said, just like shop on the outer aisles of the grocery store, right? So you're just in the produce area and you're preparing your own produce. Again, really extra bonus points if you're growing some of your own produce. Frozen whole chickens tend to be cheaper than fresh chickens from the butcher. I agree on that. My chickens come frozen from Butcher Box. For those of you in the US, I would really look into Butcher Box. You could even share that monthly subscription with another family to save on money. But I love it because the meat already just comes every month. We also, Moink is another good one, MOINK. And then there's also, I love the, what's it called? The pastured chicken one that I did a live with them at some point. I really love their company too. I'm blanking on the name, but I know it's on my website. Their chickens are amazing as well. And so I love that my protein just gets delivered to me. I also get fish through, oh my God, what's with me in words today? and I have it prepared here, but I'll get fish from Vital Choice, and I'll buy in bulk there too, frozen. I get the salmon and the cod, and I love it because they come in these individual packets. But same thing, like, yes, I spend $80 when I get that salmon, but I get enough salmon for like 2 months, or whatever, at least a month if I'm feeding me and my husband. And so to think about that too, that buying in bulk and buying frozen is a really good way to get ahead of it. When you are kind of like down to the wire and need to go to the closest store and then find that A, it's stressful, and B, you might be paying a premium for it, right? Pick your battles when it comes to buying organic. I think that's a really big one. So really looking at that Dirty Dozen list. So that's what I was pulling up here on my Kindle. Let's just see, 2023 Dirty Dozen Clean 15. Some people have a problem with Dirty Dozen lists and EWG, and I know that, and I'm aware of it, but anyway, I still use it. So spinach needs to be organic. Kale needs to be organic. Then there's a bunch of fruit in here. Peppers, which are not on we cut those out because they're a nightshade. Green beans we're cutting out because they're a bean. So, otherwise, it's fruit. Strawberries, peaches, pear, nectarine, apple, grapes, cherries, blueberries, all need to be organic. But on the vegetable side of thing, spinach, kale, that's it. That needs to be organic. Everything else, you can buy non-organic, okay? So that's a really good way to cut your costs. The Clean 15, which does not need to be organic. Avocados. I'm just reading through the things that are on the Egg Quality Diet. Onions, when you reintroduce those. Asparagus, cabbage, mushrooms, sweet potatoes. Trader Joe's, again, for my US girls, I buy the bag of sweet potatoes. It is so inexpensive. Whereas if I get them from Whole Foods, I feel like they come out to be like $2 a sweet potato. Carrots don't need to be organic. So there's really go by that list and pick and choose your organics, because that can be so expensive. And then even more, again, I'm going back to like, you could even do a little herb farm in your kitchen, at the kitchen window, grow your cilantro and your parsley. The dandelion greens are super fun. I'll do a video on them later for you guys. So pick your battles when it comes to buying organic. Again, this is from one of my students. If all organic produce is expensive, prioritize going organic with the Dirty Dozen, then go from there. The 80-20 rule is a good baseline. And I agree with that. Like, we're going to pick and choose. And to me, again, the animal products, the protein is the most important when it comes. That's why I like these meal delivery or these food delivery services, because I do trust the farmers, and, because I'm in a subscription, it just works out to be so much less expensive. It really is a savings. My husband and I sat down and did it, and we compared like buying our meat at Whole Foods versus doing Butcher Box, and it's like almost like a $200 a month savings for us. So I strongly recommend it because we eat a lot of protein. My eggs, I'm still buying, and I'll get the ones from Trader Joe's, which I did a price comparison yesterday. The same eggs at Whole Foods were like $8 something a dozen, which is just obnoxious as all hell, but I paid $6 something at Trader Joe's instead. So right there, I saved myself, a good amount of money. Make your own broth. Of course, we already said that. Eat seasonally. In-season organic produce is always cheaper. If you have a local farmer's market or you have a local farm, like we have a great farm stand down the street, I'll go there and I'll get what I can from her, because I'm also supporting someone local who's actually growing it. And I'm not paying a premium for her to be in a storefront. She's actually right there at her farm stand. So think of those things, like really kind of pin that out. You can make it fun. I love going to a farm stand. It's also really good Instagram material. It's just so pretty. If you guys are into your Instagram material, make your own broth. I think I've already said that. Canned coconut milk. I buy either Native Forest. Again, I'm talking to my US girls, although I think you guys can get this abroad. Or I'll buy the 365 brand in the cans. Yes, I buy the cans. They're BPA-free cans. I don't stress about it. I buy the cans. I do coconut milk light because coconut milk full fat don't work for my tummy. It doesn't work for a lot of tummies. So I do the coconut milk light, and that's kind of how I go. Like, if you look at the Califia coconut almond milk, which sometimes I get and I use it in my tea. Right now I'm not doing it because we've cut out almonds, or we're about to cut out nuts and seeds. I think we cut them out today or tomorrow or something. That container of milk I think is like $6 or $8 or something crazy. A can of coconut milk is $2 to $3, right? So really that's where you can save money. And then someone says the cans of coconut milk are much cheaper. You can store them in a mason jar once you open the can. Totally agree. Again, I get these in bulk. Go to your local Goodwill, your secondhand home stores. You will always find mason jars. But then you could also, again, on your Amazon, we all have Amazon everywhere in the world now, right? On your Amazon, you can buy a 12-pack of these, and they come out to be, I don't know, cheap. They're the best storage containers, and you don't need anything fancy, okay? But I love a Goodwill. I'm like a junkie for secondhand. It's just like, it's a thing of mine. I've always been that way. And so I go to Goodwill regularly, and I always peruse the glassware area. Like, I get nice wine glasses at Goodwill for $1 because that's just how I am. Because wine glasses break. And so, but I always find food containers, always. So that's another good way to really save, okay? Opt for whole food snacks, such as fruit and veggies instead of prepackaged snacks, of course. That will save you a ton of money. I do love the Epic pork rinds. Those were on sale today at Whole Foods as well. They were like $1.50 off a bag. So I bought a bunch, and I'm just going to, we have some storage in the basement. So that's where I'll store my extras. Plantain chips, same thing. I wait till the Barnana ones are on sale and I stock up. Whole Foods, Amazon, you can buy them in bulk, and I think at Costco as well. So Costco is another real good secret. Again, for those of you that have access to a Costco, and I know a workaround too that you don't actually even need a membership. If you have the app Instacart, you can have the Instacart app. If you have a Costco in your area, you can actually order through Costco through Instacart, and you don't need a membership. So that's another workaround. I also have a good friend who, if I need to go to Costco, I just take her card, right? So that's another good workaround. I don't have a membership. I don't pay for it, but there's a lot of really good organic and even good quality meats there, which you can get at a major discount. Stock up on frozen organic fruits and vegetables whenever you see that they're on sale. I think that's such a great piece of advice. We actually, during COVID, because we really stocked up on meat and all that stuff, my husband was very concerned about food shortages. We went and bought one of those big freezers for the basement, and it wasn't inexpensive, maybe a couple $100, but probably the best thing we ever did, because now I can just really stock. So like with Vital Choice, I'll buy their big thing of salmon because it's the biggest savings, but now I have salmon or cod like whenever I need it, right? So I just have to think ahead about defrosting, but having those frozen and ready to go, it just really takes the guesswork out of it for us. We also have scallops. I get scallops from Butcher Box. They're delicious. I buy tuna. I buy in the cans from, oh my God. See, what's going on with me and brand names today? The Wild Planet. I'll buy their tuna. I buy their sardines. I buy canned salmon, all from them. And same thing, I'll stock up when they're on sale because it's in the can. They're BPA-free cans. I also do the tuna from Wild Planet in the glass jars. It's in olive oil. Oh my God, I love it. It's my greatest snack. But in phase 2, we're not doing tuna, and I try not to do tuna more than once a week. But the skipjack tuna is actually not a mercury concern, just an FYI. And if anybody's ever concerned about fish in their area, and this speaks to everyone in the country, go to Monterey Bay Aquarium has something called Seafood Watch. It's seafoodwatch.com or .org. And you can go and find the best seafood in your area. And they break down like local versus, well, not local, farm raised versus wild caught, and like what you can get in your area. And they make these really handy PDFs for me living in the Northeast. I print it out. I have it available. So I know now when I go to buy fish, maybe my cod doesn't need to be wild. Maybe it's fine to be farmed in my region, right? And that's a lot cheaper. And so that's another really good workaround for you. But then you learn about things like sustainable tuna, and skipjack isn't nearly as mercury worrisome as others. Plan your meals out for the week before you go to the grocery store. This helps keep your grocery list focused so you don't overbuy. I think that's brilliant. And that's also why we made you shopping lists. Our shopping lists are specific down to the, the ounce of ingredients for each of the phases and the weeks, because that's what's important to us. So if I look at like phase 2, day 14, coconut milk yogurt. So I'm doing the Cocoa June. I did get that on sale. You could also make your own. Yokocado, again, you do not need to have organic avocados. simple sauerkraut. You can make your own sauerkraut. You can buy that as well in bulk, and you can find really good quality sauerkraut. Liver support soup, again, we went over that. Butternut squash soup. So same thing too. Sometimes Trader Joe's has the organic butternut squashes, but the truth is they're not on the Dirty Dozen. They're not on the Clean 15 either, but you don't need to buy organic butternut squash. So you can buy it already cubed up, which is more expensive. I love to roast an a butternut squash. I love to slice it open, olive oil, salt, pepper, or coconut oil, salt, pepper, or just salt, depending on where you're at in the egg quality diet. Scoop it out and then make my soup. It is so delicious, and it's a major savings. I've done the comparison of buying the cubed up butternut squash versus the whole ones. I mean, it's dollars you're saving, and I make that in bulk. Ginger, turmeric, bone broth. I think fairly straightforward. I will buy the hunks of ginger and then I freeze them, and the turmeric as well. Phase 2 smoothie, which. So this is, you can also see when things go on sale for this too, but I do love the, whatchamacallit. All right. I have a version that doesn't have the phase 2 smoothie. Anyway, here it is. It's not in alphabetical order. Isn't that funny? Coconut yogurt or coconut milk. So I use the coconut milk, filtered water, or regular water. Like I now have my water tested, and our tap water is fine. Avocado, bone broth protein. So I like the Ancient Nutrition brand. Again, I wait for that to go on sale and I'll buy one or two so I have it. Collagen peptides, same thing. You can find a really good quality one. They should just be grass-fed bone broth protein, grass-fed collagen peptides. Okay, whatever brand you find, grass-fed, super clean ingredients. Cinnamon, same thing. I'll buy like the organic cinnamon seasoning from the Whole Foods brand, the 365, or even Trader Joe's has one. Again, though, not so certain cinnamon needs to be organic. So there's another thing to think about. Turmeric, ginger, spinach or kale, and then sea salt. So phase 2 smoothie, and then bone broth of your choice. So those are the really light protein days. But like if we get into week 3, morning smoothie, bone broth egg drop soup, liver support soup, sweet potato toast. So again, none of this needs to be organic. Mashed avocado, bone broth, golden milk bone broth, grilled cod with zoodles. Same thing, your zucchini doesn't need to be organic. And you get those little zoodle maker. You make your own zoodle, you'll save a lot of money. The tomato sauce with your beets. That's another thing too, is I do like to buy the pre-cooked beets because it just saves me a lot of time. But you can make your own beets and save money there. But Trader Joe's has a good box of pre-cooked beets, which I think is like $3.50. Plenty of beets to make your tomato sauce and your liver support soup for that week. So same thing, like a lot of my girls love the tomato sauce. They love the, let me just find the tuna over kale. Oh my God, it's so good. Stir-fried greens. Sunrise hash, those are some of my favorite things. Fumato bolognese, simper sauerkraut. So you can make your own sauerkraut with cabbage. It's pretty easy. The shepherd's pie is to die for. You can also get, cauliflower, again, not on the Dirty Dozen. So you can skip that being organic. Get the cauliflower from Trader Joe's, really inexpensive. Then the beef broth you're making, and ground lamb. You can also use ground pork. You can use ground beef. You can use ground chicken. You can use any of those things you want. You can make your own sausage patties. But I was looking for a couple of the sauces that we have here. But I'm now being reminded of all these really delicious. Here's the tomato sauce. So ghee or coconut oil. And it's the same thing too of Trader Joe's does have a ghee. You just really ideally want a ghee that's been tested and certified as dairy-free. And so same thing, what I'll do is on Amazon, I'll buy my ghee in bulk and I save. And then I just store it because it's never going to go bad. You don't have to refrigerate it either. Beets, onion, carrots. So none of that needs to be organic. Celery, bone broth, basil, oregano, thyme, marjoram, bay leaves. But again, you'll make this, this recipe in the book yields 8.5 cups of sauce. I mean, that's going to get you through the egg quality diet, isn't it? And let's see, liver support soup, the smoothies, the fat bombs are another great thing that I'll make in advance and store in the freezer. You can make your own mayo. You can make your own hollandaise sauce, ghee, egg yolks, lemon juice. I mean, to die for. But again, so thinking about like, okay, you know, and that's what I would shop around. Who has the cheapest eggs? Look at that. A lot of the farm stands have really good eggs. Some of my neighbors have eggs. Like I just had a patient show up with eggs for me the other day in the clinic, right? And so if you know people that have eggs, sometimes they have too many eggs. You can work like, let's go old school, work out a trade with them. Hey, can I give you this? I make delicious tomato sauce. Can I trade you for a dozen eggs? I mean, literally you can do that. So think about that. Affordable grocery stores. I know I'm kind of like getting sidetracked here. Costco, hands down. Best store foods. You need large amounts: veggies, egg, protein powder, chicken. Trader Joe's, Aldi's, which I'm not familiar with, but this is what some of the girls in my group. Misfits Market. It's a grocery delivery service that rescues produce that wasn't going to make it to the shelves. So you see if you have those in your area. Misfits Market. All produce is organic and sourced from small farms. They also have meat and dairy. All of the meat products are grass-fed, free-range, antibiotic. Costs stay very low for the quality of the products. That's brilliant, in my opinion. And then there's portable food warmers that keep your lunch warm. Amazon has those. Let me see. There's some good questions in here. Should I keep doing my best in the egg quality diet when I'm on a low income? Yeah, honey, you do the best you can do, right? Do you think the pasture-raised eggs at Aldi are legit? Prices are so much better. Yeah, I mean, I do, you know, I think they're better than commercially farmed, right? So maybe even if they're like a B, but yeah. Should we buy egg quality book? What book should we buy for the Reboot? Yes, the egg quality diet book. This is the one you need. It's right here. If you have a Kindle, that version is much cheaper. Reintroduction was hardest. How to not feel fearful of reintroduction and tips for this stage. Example, gluten never bothered my stomach but caused headaches with continued use. I think that's great to know, right? So you can have gluten once in a while. That's how I would look at it. The reintroductions are the hardest because most people at that point are just like, fuck it, I just want to eat everything and move on with my life. But it's so important to know. So, I mean, I think what I always tell, like when clients work one-on-one with me, here's what I do with them. I make them, when we're in phase 3, I make them make a list of the top 10 things they miss the most. And sometimes it's like, well, I really miss like, you know, those Canyon potato chips. And I'll be like, okay, so that's avocado oil, which you've already introduced, and white potatoes. So we have to try white potatoes before we can try the chips, right? Or if there's, like I have that pancha live bread. I think it has like 4 ingredients. So I'd have to reintroduce each individual ingredient before I can have that bread. But yeah, make a list of what you miss the most. Most people realize they don't miss a lot. And it's certain things. And so then we just introduce those ingredients. But just keep trying again. Be easy on yourself, Julia. And thank you so much for showing up and trying again. How early should we stop eating nightshade vegetables? How soon before egg freezing? Well, we're following, you know, if you're in the Reboot right now, we're following, I think we're on day 7 or 8 right now. Right, guys? So we cut out nightshades, on day 7. And we also cut out alcohol on day 7. So that was today, I think. Today's day 7, right? So I will tell you too. I mean, I've been doing this a long time at this point. The most common things I see that people are reactive to that they have no idea are nightshades and beans. Most common things. And then nuts in excess. And it's fascinating. Nightshades, though, are a huge trigger for so many people from an inflammatory response. In your Reboot now and feeling great, can you drink sparkling water? Yeah, totally. I mean, I know the LaCroix sometimes have the, you know, but I just did, again, I get my sparkling water at Trader Joe's. It's so much cheaper than the LaCroix. This is like $3.49 for a 12-pack. I think LaCroix is like $5.99 or something like that. So anyway, FYI. But yeah, I just drank this today, and great question. Did I just cheat? Carbonated water, natural flavors. So I'll let it slide. Maybe phase 2, we just do plain seltzer, but otherwise, yeah. Okay, let me just go through here. Day 22 here. Love it. Not so bad. I don't feel hungry. Amazing. My chronology age is 48. My lab age is 36 after egg quality diet. You're amazing. I'm over 5 months on the diet now, and I'll never go back to the way I was eating before. It's so automated for me now. I love you. Thank you. Day 63 stopped. My thyroid med as my TSH went too low. That's amazing. How do best quality meats fasture on a budget? Well, I think I talked about that a bit. I would shop around and I would look at those monthly subscription services too, because I really think there is, I mean, I remember when I switched to ButcherBox and I was like, oh my God, we're saving so much money. It's difficult when other members of my family are not participating. I know. I hear you. So you make 3 different meals. I hear you. I mean, my husband's different. Well, I should just say my husband is my husband and your husband is your husband, or your partner is your partner. Ken is really good about taking direction in the kitchen and like honoring and respecting. But sometimes I'll just say like, okay, you know, like he loves this one seasoning. He puts it on meat and it has some kind of pepper in there that like gives me gas, but I don't do well with certain nightshades. And so we just had this conversation the other night. I was like, you need to not use that. And he was just like, oh, you got it, babe. You know, and then he made his steak his way and then he made my steak my way and it was fine. I know that I have to voice what I need, but so, you know, I think you just say like, or you just keep it simple. Like that's what I'll do with the boys of like, they have white potatoes. If we make, you know, whatever, like I'll do a roast chicken often. We love roast chicken. Probably once a week we do it. I just don't eat those and I kind of eat my egg quality diet way. You know what I mean? So there are workarounds to it, but I also think like communication is so important. I'm just like, hey, I'm doing this. It's really important to me. What are the ways you think you could support me? Maybe that would help. Amazing. I'm 46. Amen. You have to remind yourself this is a choice. Oh, thank you. That is a really good point. I often eat the same meals 2 days in a row to save time on food prep. I totally agree. Hatch to harvest. I am such a creature of habit. I also will, like if I have a busy work day and I know I'm like up here and I don't have time, I'll make double the phase 2 smoothie and I have it in like, I don't have it with me here, but I have it in my big clean canteen. And that's like two of my snacks, right? Or same thing. I'll make a bunch of sweet potatoes in one day and then I put them in my food containers in the fridge and then I'll kind of heat them back up in the toaster oven basically. But that's another way to really save time. Yeah, like I'll do like the sunrise hash, same thing. I'll make like a bunch of it or almost like a frittata, you know, and then I just put that in the fridge and then I could reheat that the next day. So 100%. I love making like meatballs. That's like one of my favorite things, especially in phase 2. You know, and so that's just really easy for me. I don't think about it. I'll do salmon cakes too, which I use mushrooms for the binder in those and egg yolk. And so that's another good thing that I can prep in advance and then just kind of like heat one up or quick, you know, pan fried in the skillet. Are the meals too dependent on animal proteins? It is a carnivorous diet, but there are, when you buy the book, you'll get access to the resources page, and I have vegetarian options on there. Okay, you guys, I think that's everything. But this was really helpful. Oh, Walmart has organic pasture-raised eggs for $5.99. Look at you. So see, you girls are coming in and supporting each other. I get my eggs from my local farm. I love you guys so much. This is so brilliant. They're wild mackerel, low mercury. Oh yeah, you're talking about Wild Planet, right? Buy avocados in bulk and put them in the fridge once they've ripened to keep them from over ripening. Brilliant. Thank you guys. What breastfed sausages do you, I like the Belinsky ones. And then, I think Applegate Farm, but I did a whole thing on, something came up with sausages the other day in one of my posts, and I shared this article on paleo AIP sausages. We also have, there's also a sausage patty recipe in here. Where is it? Sausage patties, ground pork, maple syrup. So this is like phase 4. You could leave the syrup out though if you're in phase 3. Dried sage, rosemary, cinnamon, fresh ginger, coarse sea salt, bacon fat. Make your own sausages. They're patties, obviously. You guys are so cute. How awesome. Let's see. I'm allergic to anything on a hoof, so I have to be extra careful. Nothing made with dairy, beef, pork, or venison. Okay, so obviously I have a rule of thumb. I'm not telling you to eat anything you're allergic to. So you have to do you and avoid that. Did you follow diet exactly like it's outlined in the book? A lot of people do, to a T. You're so cute. That's why we did it 100 days, honestly. Like, this isn't really, I love myself. I'm not criticizing myself. It's not really a book. It's 100 days of diet. There's information as to why, and there's recipes, but I realized people needed 100 days of a diet from me. If I just gave you tips, that's what I used to do, just give you rules, eat this way. People fell off. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to actually just make food plans for you. It was a lot easier for people. Do you just do this for 30 days or is it sustainable long-term? It's sustainable long-term. I mean, my goal is for all of you to get to phase 4, you do your reintroductions and you learn what your diet is. And then that's how you live. That's how you eat. You don't have to go back and repeat. Some people are like, oh, I really fell off the wagon. What do I do? I'm like, okay, restart in phase 3. Remove everything and then slowly do the reintroductions again. I miss ice cream. But when you get to phase 4, you can have coconut milk ice cream. You could make your own ice cream with a little maple syrup and coconut milk. It's delicious. Or if you reintroduce nuts and you're fine, there's tons of nut-based ice creams too that you can do. There's that cashew one, like my son has that, Like, it's not forever, guys. And you get to reintroduce. Don't forget that part. I think everybody forgets that part and thinks that I'm saying you can never eat these things again. I never once said that. Ever, ever, ever. You get to see what your body does when you reintroduce and you get to decide. Dairy ice cream, crushes my stomach. It might be fine for you, though. You only know, though, when you remove and then you reintroduce. Most people don't do well on a lot of dairy. Nightshades are a major trigger for me. Despite having huge rheumatoid arthritis flare, I know this is doing my body good, loving the food, and don't miss anything right now. Well, I'm sorry you had a flare. I wonder what that was from. I buy a bag of avocados from Trader Joe's, put them in the fridge. Yeah, that's what I do. I've swapped white sweet potatoes in place of regular potatoes. My family didn't notice. The same. Totally. I'll do cauliflower mash. No, they have no idea. Zero. My husband's doing the diet with me. I love it. Oh, it's so good. I'm so proud of you guys. On day 9, don't think plantains sit well with me or coconut yogurt. What's the best go-to You can repeat. Find ones that work, like the sunrise hash or the smoothies. Just, if things don't agree with you, just skip them. Mass produce, roasted broccoli or cauliflower in your cast iron with ghee. So good leftover. I agree with that. Love the hashes. The deconstructed egg rolls, hands down. The deconstructed egg rolls and the shepherd's pie are like my family's favorite. And I'll have like people over for dinner and I'll make those deconstructed egg rolls and they're like, oh, this is, or the cauliflower fried rice. Oh my God, so good. And I'll just pick whatever protein I want to do. It's like a paella dish. Oh my God, people love it. And I'm like, yeah, this is in my book, And the husbands always joke like, oh, is my egg quality going to get better? I get 30 organic eggs in bulk. Yeah, that's great. Moving to the land of nightshades, South Korea. Have been living in phase 4. Here goes nothing. Okay, guys. I'm going to hop because it's 1 o'clock and I have to prepare for the reboot call, which is happening in an hour. And I got to figure out why my laptop isn't charging so I can actually do my job today. Okay, I love you guys. What's the best bone broth? I have lists on my website, aimeeraupp.com/fertility recommendations. You can see my recommended bone broth there. But really, rule of thumb, grass-fed bone broth with minimal ingredients, okay? Some of them, like certain brands like Brodo, adds tomato paste. No bueno if you're avoiding nightshades, right? So you really got to look at the ingredient list. I love the, here I go again. aimeeraupp.com/bone broth. Flavor Chef is the name. They make an AIP broth, which is the only mass-produced AIP broth that I know of. I'm sure there's others out there, but they make it without carrot, onion, and celery because a lot of people react if they have a FODMAP issue. A low FODMAP, did I say that? Low FODMAP bone broth. That's the one I'll bulk buy. Flavor Chef, thank you, Dad. Butternut squash soup. I'm obsessed with the butternut squash soup. It's my favorite. Some people don't love it. I add sweet potato to mine too, which makes it even more like juicier and creamier. I love it. But if you can't have butternut squash or you can't find butternut squash, any other squash will do. Okay. We're also creating a list. It's going to go on the resources page of like swaps. Cause people are like, I live in South Africa and I can't find plantains. What can I do? Or I can't get sweet potatoes. You can try cassava or yucca if you can't get sweet potatoes. Not the flowers, the actual food, and you roast it like you would a sweet potato. You could do other squashes instead of butternut squash, right? So squash is just like a very simple food, and most people are not reactive to it. Why? That's why there's so much butternut squash soup in phase 2. That's why. And remember, I did my research on this. I based this on the paleo approach, which is Dr. Sarah Ballantyne's book, all about AIP and healing. And then I also layered in Chinese medicine theory. So it's a combination of both. This isn't a diet I just made up. This is founded in science, an autoimmune protocol to really help people heal. But then if we layer in other digestive issues like SIBO or histamine issues, it gets complicated. But I do address that in the book. And so if people are doing the diet and they still don't feel good, there's a histamine issue or there's SIBO or there's like H. pylori going on. And there's something else we have to fix first. And then they can dive into the diet. Okay, that's enough. Love you guys. Ciao.